And I'm live. Yes, today I'm hogging the whole screen, and we have a special event today. So welcome to our live stream, brought to you every 2 weeks on a Monday at 12:30. Unless we decide to change it, then we'll let you know. Today we're having a special guest, and we're lacking a special guest to even things out. So Idan won't join us today because, well, basically he's too lazy. But we're definitely going to have a special guest. As you've seen, we have the man with the best name in the world, Jonny Steel, CMO of Payoneer, is joining us today. He has a bit of technical issues, so you'll have to suffer through seeing my face for a minute or two more. And in the meantime, we'll try to think what Jonny will speak about. Basically, Payoneer had a very big IPO recently, and we wanted to know, especially I wanted to know, if there's a big difference with marketing, what you can do with marketing before IPO and after IPO. Are there more constraints? Is there more budget? Have things fundamentally changed, or maybe not at all? Maybe ask a bit about what happened before the IPO, and basically, get all the inside scoop and all the information we can get in order to spread the knowledge, which is what we do here. In the meantime, I need to continue entertaining you because Jonny is still not live. So bear with me for a few minutes. You can also look at the HubSpot Israel and join the HubSpot Israel group that we're running if you have any questions about not just HubSpot, but also about automation, ABM, anything that requires operations behind it. Or you can also just ping me a message on LinkedIn. And if you have any questions for Jonny, please write them up now so I can add them into conversation. You can just, on the post where you're watching right now, you can just add questions. So for example, if you wanted to know who he's targeting, what is the marketing tactic that worked the best? If you're a competitor and you want to get some inside knowledge, that's the time to do so and ask questions. And basically everything you ever wanted to know. And while I'm not going to sing to pass the time, although there have been numerous requests for me to do so, we are going to recommend you to keep watching the previous live streams. They're still available. We had a very good one with Maya, VP Marketing of Mobidio, about Influ2. We had several ones about how to run ABM very well, about how to do cool reportings in HubSpot. So really recommend. And in the meantime, we're still waiting. Okay, it seems that Jonny has needs a bit more time before he goes live. Any questions from the audience? Oh, here he is. Thank you for saving me. So, without further ado, Jonny Steel, yay!
Hi, Amit, and hi, all the viewers. Nice to see you all.
Hi, Jonny. Oh, wow, we're seeing you amazing now. Okay, so obviously, whatever you did solved the issue. People had to suffer through me babbling for 2 minutes, so I'm going to give it to you. Please, a few words about yourself and what you do at Payoneer.
Yeah, well, I'll start by saying that the classic solution to any problem is just turn it off and turn it back on again. And that applies to everything, whether it's your Wi-Fi or it's your marketing, your strategy, relationships. Turn it off. Wait 10 seconds. The 10 seconds are important, right?
I wish I could do it to my kids. I mean, it is called having a good night's sleep, which is rare for them. It's kind of a shutdown, turn off button, but not quite the same.
So here we are 10 seconds later in a few minutes, but thanks for waiting for me. Yeah, it's a great pleasure to be chatting to you, Amit. Just a word or two about myself. So I'm Jonny. I'm the Vice President of Global Marketing at Payoneer. I've been at the company for a little over 7 years, marked a 7-year anniversary here, which is the longest I've ever been in any one place in my entire career, which says a lot more, I think, about Payoneer than my ability to commit. It's just a wonderful company. company with so much opportunity to grow. For those of you that don't know Payoneer, Payoneer is a global platform powering payments and growth for businesses of all sizes, from SMBs through to the largest brands in digital commerce today, like Amazon, Airbnb, Google, Facebook, Upwork, Fiverr, all using Payoneer to send payments, to receive payments, to grow their business. And we are in over 190 countries and territories worldwide, so a truly global business.
And you're now public, which is awesome, and we'll touch it in a minute. As I mentioned before, I think while people know what Payoneer does, it's not clear who you're marketing to, because it's not your run-of-the-mill, enterprise accounts or consumers. It's somewhere in the middle. A few words about that.
Yeah, so we're doing marketing to really businesses of all sizes. So at the smallest end of things, we're talking about an individual entrepreneur or a freelancer. So it could be an individual freelancer that writes code in Ukraine or in India. They could be somebody that's just started an Amazon business, selling on Amazon, and they've started out of their garage. So that's the smaller size business that we're serving. Then we go through sort of more of the established businesses through to the mid-market. Mid-market could be businesses of a few hundred people, and then up to enterprises. And we've got a separate business line. So we're divided within Payoneer. We organize things between an SMB business line and an enterprise business line. And in enterprise, these can be huge deals with really big companies. This year, we signed eBay to be using us for paying their sellers worldwide after they ended their contract with PayPal. So we managed to win that deal. That was a deal that would have taken us years in building that relationship and nurturing it to get to the point where the window was there to get into an RFP and to win the deal.
Obviously. And you manage both departments, I assume, both enterprise and SMB business.
Yeah, so within marketing, we've grown it. And when I joined the company, I think we're about a dozen people. Now we're around about 80 people globally within marketing, and we have a matrix organization. So this is something that as you grow, you realize that if you want to be effective and agile, something you have to do, which is to create smaller teams in different places that are able to run, have got the tools to be able to do things themselves. So what we have is a series of different central functions that are almost like partners and service providers to the whole organization. And then we also have different folks that are reporting into local teams or reporting into product lines or business lines, but we still nonetheless try and give everybody a sense of identity as being part of our global marketing department. So they have a foot in two camps in many cases.
I love the word metrics for management. It's basically a different word for one big mess, but as long as people know what they're doing, I think it's good. And I think we really don't need that much hierarchy as we used to, right? As long as you hire people who are responsible and adult enough, they know what they need to do. Still a mess though. In one sentence, how would you define enterprise marketing versus SMB marketing for Payoneer, obviously?
So it's a lot easier, I think, to talk about what's similar between them than what's different. I mean, the differences are obvious, right? So with enterprise organizations, you have multiple stakeholders. You have many times lengthy processes. Legal plays a huge part in it. There are lots of different purchasing people that will come into the mix. And oftentimes, the window of being able to switch a provider or to bring you in is only open at certain times. So this is a long-term relationship. So the difference is, whereas with the SMB, you're often talking to a single person, the CEO of the company or the CFO that runs everything, can make decisions. Things can move a lot quicker. Our SMB account is something that you can sign up to without paying a penny. You just start using it, and as you use it, you can be using it more, you can be using it less. So the type of deal structure is obviously very different, but I think the similarities are interesting because ultimately they're people and relationships matter. And it doesn't really matter whether you're talking about an enterprise organization where you've got your primary contact, but you're trying to build up relationships with other people, and it's a relationship you're going to have to nurture over a year or 2 years in order to be able to get the big deal eventually, or whether it's an SMB that signed up on your website today and started using you, and you start to see their activity as more significant, so you put a customer success manager on it. It's still about relationships, and they're still about people. So there's a lot more, I think, that the two have in common than divide them.
In terms of KPIs, though, do you have different KPIs for enterprise versus SMB?
Yeah, so on the enterprise side, it is more about a lead funnel. So we're generating leads. We have sales accepted leads. And then that is for us the primary focus, is making sure that we provided sales with the opportunities that they want, and then they move forward with it. where on the SMB side, it's a bit different, because on the SMB, we have the majority of our activity is self-serve, meaning we're trying to get our name out there, that people will come to Payoneer.com and sign up. You just go, you click, you open up a Payoneer account, and we have over 300,000 of these applications every single month. So the majority of the activity is self-serve. And the moment that they sign up, then kicks in the CRM machine that then starts to convert them, because at that point they haven't brought us any revenue whatsoever. They haven't used any service. They haven't got any value from us. They've just signed up. So we need to educate them on what they've got, how to use it, how to be successful with it. We're looking to upsell them. And in some cases, if we see their activity is a bit more significant, that's when we'll bring in a human being, and that's where customer success will come in. And in some markets, we'll also have a bit of lead generation and creating opportunities, because it's more around the mid-market. So if you take a market like, I don't know, like US, for example, we'll start targeting also mid-market companies where sales process is part of it, and there will be some lead generation even on the SMB side.
I mean, most companies that we work with have a hard time managing one funnel, and you have two or three. So I bet that is challenging, and I'd love to ask you a bit more about it later in terms of how do you divide your time. But we did promise people some gossip around the IPO. So I have to ask, how long before the IPO have you started dedicating your time to the IPO process?
So I would put two dates in the calendar. So one would be sort of the beginning of the year, so around about 6 months beforehand, where really we had a program, we were on track then. We entered the public markets through a SPAC, and so that process actually happened quite quickly. And then there's several months between when we made the announcement of the merger with the SPAC and then listing under the Payo ticker. But there was a period of time that took place before then. I would say probably a year or two beforehand. Payoneer is a company that was founded in 2005. So we've been around for a while. We've grown a significant size business. There are many businesses that are much smaller that had already gone public. And for us, going public was viewed as something of more of a means than an end. It wasn't something like that was the finish line and then the job was done. It was a question of what would help us to continue on our mission, to continue building out a meaningful brand with real lasting impact that could continue to serve more and more customers worldwide and bring shareholder value. And in order to do that, one way is going public, but it wasn't necessarily the only way. So already a year or two beforehand, part of the goals within the leadership of the business was to organize ourselves so that we are ready for the public markets. That didn't mean that we needed to become a public company, but it did mean that we wanted to start to get our processes, whether those are financial processes or the way we are built in terms of legal and regulatory side of things, or even HR or marketing, is build yourself so that you have that efficiency and that predictability, and your forecasting is strong. So as if you were to be a public company, you're doing things in the right way. So for us, it wasn't like when the day came that Payo started trading on the NASDAQ, it wasn't like we were scrapping around to change our processes. We were already very much focused on the data, on the CAC and LTV relationship, and really making sure that we were doing things in a way that we could forecast accurately and be able to manage things in an efficient manner.
Okay, so and how much of your time did it take? I mean, did you were like, okay, guys, you know what? Manage it on your own. I'm out. I'm doing only IPO now. See you in 6 months. Or it was just something that, coordinating behind the scenes? Like, how much of your time, how much were you on it?
Well, firstly, the critical lesson, whether it's in the run-up to an IPO or really in any case, and even in your question before about managing multiple funnels, is surround yourself in a very strong team. So if you've got good people in place, then it means that nothing is all on my shoulders. Like next week, I'm going on vacation. And one of the things that I'm most proud about when I go on vacation is that I could put an out of office on, and the majority of the time I won't get bothered. Everybody knows they can catch me on WhatsApp. But the fact is there are good people there that know exactly what to do, that if I went on vacation, even if I never came back from my vacation, that there are great people there that will keep things going. There are no, we don't have a system in the team where there's gurus that hold knowledge or know-how that nobody else is able to do. We have, people that can cover for each other. So surrounding with a good team made it easier. I would say probably the month beforehand, I was extremely focused on it. There was a lot of my time that went into it, but it wasn't me alone. It was a group of us. And the reason that a lot went into it in the month ahead was that we just really wanted to make sure that there was was a moment. This is a moment in your marketing calendar that will never come round again, where you're going to be revealing yourselves to the public markets.
Yeah.
And for that, we wanted to make sure that that moment will be as meaningful and as impactful, both to our Payoneer team, our Payoneer employees, and to our customer base as it possibly could be. And I see many of the IPOs, many of those, though, it feels like they've just taken a few things off the shelf that NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange offer, but they haven't really run the whole, complete set of campaigns and personalized campaigns, customized campaigns you can do with your customers, with your clients, with your partners to celebrate the moment and enjoy the fact that you've got this extra badge of credibility that comes in being a public company. And so that's why it became a big campaign of making the most out of that moment.
Yeah.
Changing our marketing wasn't really something that we had to do in a moment. We were already there.
It's funny you're saying about just surround yourself with good people. I keep telling my partners and my team here that if I don't have anything to do, it means that they're doing their job really, really well. But my HR keeps saying that's not something I can tell people. So, but I completely understand what you mean. Can you tell us about one or two campaigns? I mean, I want to try and dive in because not necessarily show examples, but like one or two campaigns that you did about communicating, because we do see a lot of IPO campaigns and there's a lot of PR there, but we don't see a lot of communication coming out to clients beyond the obligatory email. We don't see a lot of campaigns around it to explain the need. So I'd love to hear an example or two.
Yeah, so here's a couple of examples. So there's something that goes on with NASDAQ. NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange do things a little bit differently. But with NASDAQ, one of the things they offer you is that you have an hour on the tower. The NASDAQ tower is in Times Square. It's a really nice piece of real estate. You get lots of pictures and photos. And from the moment you can put up your billboards up there. So you get that moment. And one of the things that they offer offer any company going public is an app where the employees of the company can take a picture of themselves or with their kids or with their pets, and then for 5 seconds each your picture is up on the tower. They take a snap of it and you get that snap, and it is the most snackable, shareable content that could possibly be, because everybody then shares it on social media and says, I'm so proud to be an employee of such and such a company. So that was great. We knew we were going to use that. But one other thing that we thought of is, we serve millions of small businesses around the world. What would it mean to a small business to go to them and say, would you like to have 5 seconds on the most valuable real estate in New York City? And so what we did is we ran a campaign and we selected at the end of it, I think it was 50 or 100 of our SMB customers that had been with us for a certain amount of time, that were, they were all managed accounts, so that we all had a relationship with them. We reached out and offered them the opportunity to submit a photo and be in with a lucky chance of being one of those. And 50 of them were chosen. Each of their images were sized. A badge was put on it saying "Proud Payoneer Customer." And before we showed all of the pictures of the Payoneer employees, at the very beginning of the bell ringing ceremony, we showed 50 of our customers. And then those images, firstly, the world could see that's what Payoneer is about. We put our customers first. Secondly, each of those customers received that image, and every single one of them, without fail, shared it on their social media. Some of them were in China, putting on WeChat, some have been on Facebook and LinkedIn. And, to know that you are a customer of a business that cares that much about you, that they'll give you a piece of that very precious real estate, is something that it was a small effort in the grand scheme of things that meant a lot. And even the customers that weren't included in it. So we decided to run a social media campaign where we created a virtual photo booth. So you could, there were a few different options of, one of them was the NASDAQ tower, another one was the NASDAQ podium, where you could take a picture of yourself and then it would put it together and give you this more animated, either as a GIF or as a still image, that was still a souvenir of it. And it was a way of saying that, this moment is about our customers, about celebrating with them. We couldn't have got there without you. And this is a way of, saying thank you. So being able to do it both in person and on social media, it creates a lot of noise. We ran a contest on social media for the best images that were shared, and then we gave them a coupon for our swag store so they could go on and choose whatever Payoneer swag that they wanted. So it kind of closed the loop with just a bit of fun, something really easy, but a way to mark the occasion with customers.
Okay, so we've covered the pre. I mean, I do have tons of questions, but our time is short, sadly, because I can do this for hours. But post IPO, is there like a change, and what is the biggest change in terms of your priorities, responsibilities, and I bet there's more like you can't just say what you want, and you have to be very aware of public statements and everything. But in terms of that's legal, but in terms of your responsibilities, anything shifted within budgets or focus after the IPO?
Not major changes. So, firstly, there's a thing not to do, and so what do people do as soon as you go public? They take a look at the stock price every 5 minutes, or every hour, or every day, and there's an obsession with looking at it and seeing what's happened today and what impact has it had. And that's not a it's not a good idea, because the stock goes up, it goes down from day to day. There are a whole bunch of different factors that impact upon it, and what really matters is long-term growth, and that's what we're focused on doing. So, as much as a press release might give you a little bit of a boost if it's an interesting announcement of an interesting partnership or good results, it's not going to have meaningful long-term impact. What has meaningful long-term impact is running a business that continues to grow and continues to expand. So it comes down to it at the end of it, even when you are thinking about how do we, now that things are so transparent in terms of how well the company is doing, you really have to go back to the basics of, am I running a very smooth, successful funnel? So you look at your products that you already have and your go-to-market that's already there, and you just continue to optimize on it and make sure that you're investing in the right places, you're bringing in the right leads, bringing in the right customers, and you're doing things in the most efficient way. Now, you should have been doing that beforehand, but even that now, it's even more obvious to the world, because your P&L is going to be out there, and if you decide you want to spend a whole load of extra money in an inefficient way, it's going to be out there, at the next quarter for everybody to see. So you've got to be continuing to work as efficiently as you can. But really, it comes down to the same kind of thing. And as you said before, you do have to be careful what you say. You got to be careful about when you're a private company. Often, as a private company, you weren't revealing numbers in any case. Now you are revealing numbers, but you have to be really careful and follow the rules of quiet period. And then when the press release goes out and the earnings call, but that's just process, and that's just about listening carefully to lawyers. Yeah, doing things properly, making sure your team know what they're doing, and that people don't, just and we tried not to change things. We have a whole bunch of people have access to social media or access to the blog that they can post freely, rather than creating extra layers in that everything has to be approved by certain people and everything goes through lawyers. We prefer to try and train everybody in what it means to be a public company, and then let people get on with it, and that seems to be working for us.
And just because you mentioned it, like I always thought that, okay, you go IPO and now you have like even worse, like even insaner goals. And I was like always thinking, oh, some of this money is gonna come to me to do marketing. Is that happening? Like did your budget increase quadrupled or something like that? Or is it pretty much the goals stay the same and the budget as well?
Well, we went public halfway through the year, so the goals for this year and the financial goals are laid out, and we need to deliver on that. It does it does put a larger amount of cash in the bank for us, and that cash can be invested wisely according to wherever we think the priorities are. So, within our business, we have parts of the business which are core, that maybe make up the majority of our revenues today and are growing very nicely. But we also have a lot of investment areas where we might, at the moment, that part of the business itself is something which is high growth, but we are spending a lot more on it in order to drive that growth quickly, which means that part of the business, that individual product or part of the business, might not be profitable for now, but we're making major investments so that it will be profitable in 2 years, 3 years from now. So now that we have that extra cash, where we can see that we've got product market fit and we've got potential, it becomes a hell of a lot easier to make the case that now is the time to double down, to make major investments, and we can speed a lot of things along. So as we go into the budgeting process, there will be areas where we'll actually continue to be efficient and not look to spend any more than we are right now, and other areas where we see great potential, where we now at least have the resources to be able to make a case to invest more heavily.
So to summarize, does marketing change after IPO? Well, a bit. We do have more money, but pretty much stays the same, right? So we can finish this live stream. You answered the question. Thank you very much. No, I'm kidding. But is there like a channel that you tried in the last 6 months that you never thought it worked, but it worked, or something that was interesting to you but it failed miserably? Like, because you have 80 people on the team, so you do a lot of like localized marketing, but there's probably more budget now for experiments. So, and we know that we need to do experiments all the time. So do you have like a new channel that your team tried in the last 6 months or so that was surprising to you?
Yeah, there's a lot of good question. There's a lot of innovation happening, and a lot of it happens within the stuff that you're doing. So you don't have to find yourself a new channel every quarter to say that you're doing experimental marketing. You can try a different way of approaching virtual events, and virtual events, by the way, is a great example of last year we tried something. When we used to do a lot of physical events. The Payoneer Forum was a
when we
customer
spoke
event.
last, your focus was physical events, but small SMB, like not small, but SMB events. You had like community managers in every country. I remember we spoke 2 years ago.
Yeah. So quite right, and that was a big part. And when we realized that wasn't going to happen, we switched things to virtual conferences. Last year, we ran a 24-hour conference. We went around the world, so in every time zone we kept it going non-stop with content.
Nice.
And this year we're not doing that. So it wasn't a success. It was a very interesting, successful campaign, but we've realized that the way that people consume video content is a bit different from how it was or how we thought it was, and we need to try and cut down the sessions. 45-minute sessions, even 30-minute sessions are probably not going to work any longer, and we've got to keep them really bite-sized. And so we're trying out different formats there. We're in the process of experimenting with TikTok at the moment, which is
that's what I'm going to say, that 10 years from now you'll have to summarize half an hour to 1 minute videos.
Yeah. I'll give you another example. I spoke to an entrepreneur yesterday who has got a startup. They haven't even got a product ready to go yet, but he's going to be in touch with me in a month, where the idea is you'll be able to put, let's say, your 30-minute or 40-minute webinar into this technology, and it will spurt out from it a number of 1 minute or 2 minute or 3 minute clips using AI to try and find the most snackable moments from it, top and tail it, put the subtitles on automatically, so you've got the little sound bites that you'll be able to use. So that's another example. I think in the world of content, our content team are experimenting a lot. So we used to do, and we continue to do, lots of ebooks and guides and reports. That stuff is all good, but they're trying now shorter form. They're trying more different things that are more graphical. We've taken down a lot of the lead forms ahead of the content piece, and instead of it being a PDF, we're building it on the website, so the different pages are there. So even if we do run a campaign where it's gated to begin with, we can drop the gate and enjoy all the SEO benefit from it later on. So I think it's more about fine-tuning what the primary tools that we have in front of us, rather than necessarily going out and finding the next TikTok. Maybe TikTok will be a huge success for us, but I'm not putting all of our chips behind TikTok.
And there must be something in the last year that failed miserably. Do you feel like sharing? Or maybe everything is perfect because you're the awesomest marketer ever and nothing fails. But
everything, Look, I think everything fails. If you've run, there's no way that you're running every campaign and every campaign is successful. And sometimes we're under budget. In terms of we've got online advertising spend and we haven't spent all of it within a quarter, not because we were sleeping, but because you run a campaign. It's not every campaign works, so you stop it and you expect it to spend more on it. But it's not bringing you the results that you would really want. Try and put I can think of dozens of smaller campaigns that we've tried that weren't so successful. Try and put my finger on it. I don't know. One of the things that we're trying to get better on is that we do a lot of local campaigns. So campaigns we're running in certain geos that are led by a local marketing manager. In many cases, we've seen success from them, but we realized that actually, we decentralized too much. And actually, by combining a couple of markets together, we could have had a more impactful campaign or got a better ROI on those campaigns. So lots of different things. The majority of things you try, they're not always super successes. Once in a while, you get a home run. Many of the times you get campaigns that are nicely successful, but not necessarily the most exciting things to talk about.
Brilliant. Do you have a few more minutes, or we having a hard stop? So I have a couple more questions. In terms of, we talk a lot about ABM, and I'd love to hear your take on it because you're dealing with enterprise clients. Is it just a fad? Is it just a buzzword? Is it something you're implementing? What are your views on it?
Yeah, so I would say we're implementing. I wouldn't say that we have mastered the art of ABM yet. In some ways, there's ABM was going on long before anybody coined the term ABM. And in our world, some of these relationships have lasted a long time, and we've been doing a lot of different things on these accounts in order to help them get to a point. And you asked me before about the goals on enterprise, and I put the focus on generating the lead that converts to an opportunity. But there's plenty of what the team have been doing after that point of supporting supporting sales and supporting those with the relationship in order to continue to keep those leads warm. I mean, one of the things you mentioned before, like the events that we always used to run. So for us, that was a key part of ABM, is that what we would do is whenever we had these conferences around the world, Payoneer conferences, always the relationship between the enterprise business and the SMB business is that enterprises are interested in the SMBs, because normally the SMBs are the ones that will be on their platform. So if you're a e-commerce marketplace in Indonesia, for example, you're interested in meeting Payoneer customers that are sellers because they might be very successful on a whole bunch of other marketplaces. You want them on yours. So what we would do is we would typically bring them along as our guests to these events. The existing marketplace clients of ours would actually be speakers and have given a booth for free or for a reduced price at our event, but we would bring them along to see what the potential of our ecosystem was. So without those physical events, we've had to find creative ways to be able to showcase them the potential that we have, and that's where we actually productized it. So one example there is something called Green Channel, where the Green Channel is it was a name coined by our China team, and the meaning of it is that when you come through the airport, if you can cast your mind back that far, you always get to that bit at customs where you either go through the Green Channel, the Red Channel, or there's one other, right? We all go through. You go through the Green Channel, and the idea is you fly through. So we created this this service called Green Channel, where marketplaces could be introduced to the best sellers, and the best sellers could be introduced to new marketplaces. And the way that we would do it is because we were able to kind of score the quality of the sellers in terms of their performance, their volume in payments, the number of marketplaces they were on. We knew which ones were ripe to be onboarded by marketplaces, and we knew the marketplaces had been through various KYC, know your customer with us, that we knew which were good marketplaces ready to onboard sellers. We could act almost like a matchmaker between them. And so Green Channel became a way of productizing something which was effectively a source of account-based marketing, of showing them what we were able to do with it. But yeah, we're now in the process of implementing more technologies, more platforms in order to account-based marketing in a more measured, more thorough manner than we had before. But I think it's something that existed before it became a buzzword. But I think it's still, there's a long way for many markets and many companies like ours to build on it and improve it.
And I think it's interesting that marketing actually drove product development. In that a whole new product that is coming from marketing needs. I think it's brilliant, and a lot of companies give opportunity to marketing to really create and impact the product that way. So it's really great. Before we finish, so we have a lot of viewers. I mean, we have millions of viewers, obviously, and a fraction of them is marketing managers in startups. Some manage, some don't have any teams. Some manage 10, 15 people. When you talk about scale, when you go up to scale, okay, now I'm managing 50, 60, 70, 80 people. What is the biggest thing you need to change or learn about doing yourself, as a personal challenge?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think the first thing is you have to get used to stepping out of your comfort zone. So for a start, this is by far the largest organization I've ever managed. And in many cases, if you're hiring for this role today, you would look for somebody that's done it already. And if you are that lucky person that happens to be in that seat at the time when the business is growing, the only way that you're going to find yourself being able to grow with the organization is to be open-minded, step out of your comfort zone and try different things. I mentioned earlier about matrix reporting. For me, that was something that I wasn't used to, and realizing quite quickly that in order to align marketing really closely with the business, we had to do that, and we had to try and learn from other businesses and more mature companies that were already at that stage. How are they doing it? How are they structuring it to a point where really you could have two relationships with two managers and two teams and get the most out of both of them? So it is continuously being open-minded, to learn, to take criticism, to work with people that can advise you, to watch what other companies are doing, and also not to be too worried when things are not going your way. Like things that, to get to this point, 16 years into our history where we went public, many companies managed to get to that point a lot sooner, but it's because we had, we took the long road, we battled, there were a lot of bumps along the way, and just continuing to figure out, okay, what can we learn from this bump? How have we struggled our way through it? You asked me before about campaigns that didn't work. We had a major crisis last year with one of our providers that dropped, and we were really in a situation for a few days where we had to communicate to our customers. There were things in the first 24 hours of the communication that we did poorly. We learned lessons from that. We built out our crisis communication playbook from it. So we're actually in a much stronger position as a result of that mistake, that we're now able to feel that, problems and crises will come along. It's part of doing business. We're now far better equipped to be able to communicate and do marketing on the back of it, so that we won't find ourselves suffering long term from it.
So to summarize, always look on the bright side of life, which is always a good way to end. Yes, it's a bit forced, I'm sorry, but I love to end with an optimistic note and a line from the song. Jonny Steel, thank you so much. I actually have like a million more questions for you. I might just try to find you after and ask them, or have to invite you again. Thank you very much for making the time, and good luck. Good luck growing to 300 people on your team.
Thank you, Amit, and thanks everybody for watching today. And be in touch. Payoneer, we've got lots of open positions, so if you are looking for a role in marketing or to change, we've got roles in CRM, roles in product marketing, and plenty of others in the wider organization. If you've got any questions for me personally, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn or get in touch through any other social media methods.
Brilliant, Jonny. Thank you so much. Have a great time. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Amit. Bye-bye.
Bye.